Oregon. Ray, you are live on What on Earth is Happening. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Mark, you know me. You're aware of my work.
Absolutely. This is Ray Karczewski, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
I'd like to speak about the, as you know, I call myself a living Christ.
Yes.
And that disturbs a great number of people, Christian and non-Christian alike.
Sure.
Now, I'd like to talk about the Christ consciousness and the second coming of Christ.
Okay.
When Jesus of Nazareth said that I am the truth, life, and the way, he gave the secret to a world beyond conflict. A world of non-dualistic energy, of balance, the balance between the right brain and the left brain.
Yes.
In other words, insight, direct perception, a tie-in with one's subconscious mind, which sees it all, gathers it all, does not separate, does not divide, has no beginning, has no end. It is infinite intelligence. It is God itself operating within the human being. Man's fall from grace was the fall, the descent from that holistic, non-dualistic consciousness of divine perception of truth, of being at one with truth, resonating with truth. You and I, you have a different approach than I do, but you and I resonate at that level of truth that is unmistakable. You have a better way of connecting with the intellect of other people. Now, I perceive that the intellect, all intellect, is satanic. All. Because it's dualistic in nature. And by that I mean that it's divisive in nature and it's opposing in nature. Whenever you have an idea, it's always a dualistic energy that must be reconciled into a non-dualistic insight. Then one can take action, and that action is the act of creation. Now, that's the whole purpose of life, that we come to that point.
That act of creation works through our free will.
That's correct.
Because we're putting that action into the world through the process of our free will.
Right. I agree. Most people do not know what that means, you see. They are so caught up with the ideas that have been conditioned into them through remote sources, satanic sources, the media, government, religions, that they consider that all to be normal fare.
Right.
There's nothing normal about it. It's all satanic. Without let up. And the average person lives that way from birth to death. They lose that non-dualistic spirit as an infant. When they become conditioned by their parents, who were conditioned by their parents and prior generation to the beginning of the family, they've all been conditioned and they passed it on to their children. That's the sin, original sin of contradiction. It's all done through mind control.
And it spreads through society like a virus, like
Absolutely.
A self-perpetuating virus, yeah.
Right. Now, you know that I'm quite a controversial character on the internet, and I have a lot of opposition.
I think anybody who's speaking the truth about what's going on in this immoral culture will come up against opposition and be perceived as very controversial. And, you know, there's many lies that are spoken about all of the people who are involved in truth-telling in our society. We're not going to let that dissuade us, you know. We're going to stay persistent and keep moving forward because that's all that we really can do. And we're going to wake people up a little at a time if that's what it takes until the great work is accomplished.
Well, I have the solution every problem that we face in society, we can dissolve the New World Order instantly by following this solution. And that is, from this moment forward, if everyone listening to what I'm about to say gives it their full attention and watch the reactions to what I'm about to say, they will understand the extent of their conditioning and the extent of their confusion and the extent of their violence. And that they join with each other, with other people of like-mindedness, and they become the collective. That's all society is. And it's a divisive, violent arena. The arena of absolute destruction, both destruction of others and self-destruction, of confusion. From this moment forward, let everyone hearing my voice, from this moment forward until the end of their life, never tell another lie at any level. A white lie, a black lie, doesn't matter. You see, most people find that impossible. And yet, to rise above the dualistic energy of the intellect, the satanically ruled intellect, and that's exactly what the intellect is, an instrument, like a computer that is programmable. We must rise above that. When you rise above to the non-dualistic arena of truth, you have transcended hell. You have risen above hell in your life only. But it's infectious. Every other man, woman, and child who comes in contact with a truthful man, for a simple man of truth is what a Christ is. That's what Christ consciousness is.
Right.
They speak
for someone resonating at that level, they're going to affect everybody around them energetically, almost by osmosis.
Yes. Yes. Now, you do one heck of a job with your presentations, but you are speaking to the intellects of your audience. So they're going, what you say may not be what they hear, because they're the noise that they have going on inside, the contradictions.
Right. That's always a tough one, to align the so-called internal dictionaries of language. You know, words are a limited thing. You know, they define things. You know, they like you said, the language is part of the left brain, and that breaks things down and analyzes and separates things so that they can be more understood and then seen holistically. And a lot of people don't have the same internal dictionary, so when you're saying one word or concept, they compare it to what they have in their internal dictionary in the mind of language, and it doesn't always equate. It's a very tricky concept, language, and like being as clear in your in your explaining of something as is possible to be. It's why I prefer the spoken language over even the written. Like, I'm working on a book and I constantly worry about, well, is this much explanation through language in this paragraph or in this sentence sufficient to really convey the idea? Because I can't be asked a question, I can't come back with a clarification of a topic. It has to stand upon its own, and that's where you get into very verbose wordings and get into editing things ad infinitum. And it's kind of like why I more prefer the spoken word to the written word, because you can have that dynamic interaction between people where you can further clarify through making an additional statement to try to really get people to understand what it is you're really deeply saying. It can be a very tricky thing, and I think it requires balance and it requires a lot of practice. And I always hope that I'm doing enough job on those grounds. But you're not always going to reach every single person. You do what you can, and then you hope the chips fall where they may, and that people really get the gist of what you're saying.
Well, I listen to you deeply, and I resonate with the energy behind your words. I'm not too concerned with the letter of the word. My attention is paid to the spirit of the word.
Sure.
And that's where truth is felt.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, I think that's a really profound insight there for people to listen to, because, you know, people in the past have asked me, well, you know, who do we listen to? Whose information is good? Who do you pay attention to? And I try to explain to them it's about an eclectic gathering of knowledge and information, and you have to ultimately feel. Do you resonate with the spirit of that individual? Do you think he's telling you the truth as he or she understands it? Do you think they are giving you the truth as they grasp it, as they currently understand it? Or do you think there's an agenda behind it? You know, and I just think if you pay attention to somebody's work for a long enough time, you will get the essence of the heart of that person. You know, I followed your work for a long time, over approximately a decade ago, almost a decade ago, I guess you could say, and it really helped me to put a lot of things together. And, you know, it's like you just eventually, by listening to somebody, by gathering in their work and taking it in, you get the sense for that person's mind and heart. You know, it's like you have to listen to enough of it too. You know, so I think that's a big part of discernment. It's a big part. That's the intuitive right brain side of things.
That's right.
You know, where the intellect isn't really present, where that's heart-based intelligence. That's the right brain side of things. And I think that's so important for people to be able to do, and not just go along with the analytical approach. I'm not saying that isn't important. I think that's important as well. I tend to look at the intellect as part of the intelligence process, but the intuition and nurturing of the right brain and the heart have to be brought into the equation to balance it. I would say intellect without that sacred feminine perspective is satanic thinking,
right.
is pure dualism.
Fair enough.
I mean, that's where I would just slightly differ, but your insight about how to feel somebody's information and feel their energy is very, very, very profoundly valid, and I think more people should take that into consideration when listening to information from any teacher, so-called.
Yeah. You know, you mentioned the word insight. Now, insight is direct perception. That's at 1 minute the truth. It cuts through all the garbage.
Ray, we're coming up to a break. Hold on right there. Folks, we'll be back after these words.
Recent events have shown just how vulnerable we are to deadly viruses, bacteria, and fungus. These diseases are all caused by infectious pathogens that often get the upper hand on conventional medical treatments. Now more than ever, there's a great need for a product that will help protect us. Look no further. Supernatural Silver can provide immune system support to help fight off these deadly pathogens. Supernatural Silver is a new and vastly improved type of silver solution that's safe and extremely effective against 143 types of bacteria, both forms of viruses, mold, and yeast. Supernatural Silver can be taken orally or used topically, and can be used in a nebulizer or vaporizer for inhalation. With over 180 scientific studies by independent universities, hospitals, and research institutions, Supernatural Silver is a powerful weapon against disease. Go to supernaturalsilver.com and use the promo code SILVER2014 for 20% off your entire order. Give you and your loved ones a fighting chance with Supernatural Silver.
Americans are reeling from Obamacare, higher prices, and an epidemic of policy lapses. AsiaRunLikeHellGuide.com has you covered. World-class medical and surgery at one of Asia's most modern hospitals. 300 doctors, surgeons, and dentists serving 300,000 patients a year. Fractions of U.S. prices. Friends or family forced to go out of pocket? Avoid bankruptcy. Tell them to run. Run like hell. Hit us up now. We'll show you how. AsiaRunLikeHellGuide.com.
Doctors don't want you to know about iodine because it allows the body to heal itself quickly and permanently. Iodine Now is a complete powder formulation that will load iodine into the body with vitamin C for the best possible absorption. Iodine Now, available by the case, and for protection from radiation, fluoride, chlorine, and bromine. including all heavy metals. We believe that this is the main element that humans need more than any other at this time. This formulation is infused with our bioactive aerobic rare earth nutrient powder that has a powerful negative charge that attracts positive toxins. Why not buy one product that does the job of 20 and saves you space, time, and money? Has a storage life of 100 years. All for about $18 a month. Call 888-910-4367 or visit impusa.org. Call 888-910-4367. Bringing back the universal medicine for mankind. Iodine Now. Only at impusa.org.
Earthquakes, hurricanes, nuclear accidents, terror attacks, and all-out social collapse. With the world today more volatile than ever, the future has never looked more uncertain. Survivalist magazine is the one resource you can't afford to be without. Claim your free trial subscription now at www.survivalist.com, and your first issue ships immediately. Get all the details and more at www.survivalist.com or order by phone. Call 1-866-437-6570. Your survival may depend on it.
Welcome back, everyone. You're listening to What on Earth is Happening here on Republic Broadcasting. I'm your host, Mark Passio. My website, whatonearthishappening.com. Before the break, we were talking to Ray in Oregon, and Ray, you were going to make a point about insight. I'll let you finish up that thought, and then I'll move on to some other callers.
Good. We must acknowledge what the intellect is all about. We must use the intellect in order to solve technical problems and not insights, but mindsets that are gathered by virtue of mind control, our minds being manipulated by other sources. And we must use the intellect in order to communicate one with the other. Now, that is the only purpose that I see is Christ. I see the rest of the life. We must become silent. We must die to the intellect, die to the mind, and be reborn of the spirit of infinite intelligence and have direct perception. That's insight in all other matters of life. Now, to straddle that, have that balance between the two, to know when to use the intellect and when to drop it, that's the secret. Now, this comment I made about never tell another lie, that's an instant transition from the dualistic intellect into non-dualistic truth and Christ consciousness. When Jesus of Nazareth said that I am the truth, life and the way, he gave the secret to eternal life. You can only see the truth in the eternal moment of now. Anything after that is in the time-bound moment of intellect, from the past, present, future, etc., and full of illusion, full of representations of truth. And we have been trained to worship those ideas that have been imposed upon us. That is step away from truth and to step into hell. And most people are completely unaware of it. Now, by paying attention to your own reactions to the truth, that's how you are able to see just how conflicted your intellect is.
Just how attached to those programs that they are, yes. Yeah.
Exactly. Now, I'm under a lot of attack coming from the United States government's intelligence community. They've been after me for 19 years, destroying my character, my credibility, my reputation. They haven't done it. They're still at it. And I've been to every law enforcement agency, from the federal, the FBI, to the state, and to the county. No agency will investigate what's going on. And I'm asking the assistance of the public in order to put pressure on the sheriff of Josephine County, Oregon, Dave Daniel, who has refused to acknowledge my 5 requests for a criminal investigation. And we can change our country with this investigation, because all of the nonsense that goes on, the criminal actions of our politicians, our so-called leaders who are not leaders at all, can come to an end. Put those son of a guns in jail where they belong, and to open the gates of all people who are in jail over victimless crimes. That's a revenue gathering measure. There's no crime. If there's no victim, there's no crime.
Right.
These people, we have millions of people languishing in prison cells over victimless crimes. This must come to an end, but the people must understand the basis, the genesis of such hellish behavior, and decide for themselves no more. That's what I'm asking your audience to do, to exercise their pressure on their government officials to investigate this issue of mind control at the federal level and on the internet. And let's get this started.
Great. Do you have a site that you've documented some of this stuff, or that your work is on, that you could send people to?
Well, I have 2 sites. One is Lisa Ray Enterprises. That's LEESARAY Enterprises.com. That's my daughter's site.
Okay.
I assisted. Most of my writings are there with regards to the spiritual aspects of how to come to Christ consciousness, because you cannot come to Christ consciousness through thought, because all thought is dualistic. There must be a step-off point where you die to the intellect and be reborn of the spirit, and then
that's the dynamic, Ray, that in my work I refer to as true care.
yes.
It's heart-based energy. Ray, thanks so much for those insights. People, check out Ray's work. A lot of good stuff that he's put out there over the years. Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to What on Earth is Happening. More of your calls for the duration of the show. Stay with us. We'll be right back.